Hello, welcome once again to the 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to everyone in the United States and around the world. This is the 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Dr. Melody Harris Barrow, coming to you live from Miami. We have a special guest today, Her Highness Grace Aganda, and Her Royal Highness Princess Sheppa. And I always have a problem with pronouncing Sheppa's name. Could you pronounce your name for me, my darling?
Right, thank you very much. The trick is in, you don't pronounce the T, so you will say Seppi. Seppi.
Okay, Sheppa. There you go. And the last name?
Close. Motlowung. So
there you go.
We will settle
there
with just Princess Seppi will be fine.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you both for being on the 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce show. And we are having an awesome program March 27th, this Saturday at 1:30 p.m. And this show is going to be about our queens around the world. And I say that because we're all beautiful women and we're coming together and we are going to talk about some great things. And this is the show. Let me show you. This is the Global Women's Alliance for Leadership and Empowerment. The 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce are hosting this program with Global Women's of Hearts, which is a program that women are doing great things. And as you can see, all of the different speakers here, we have Her Highness Grace Aganda also that's going to speak at this show, and also Princess Sheppa. She's going to be on the show as well as myself. So you cannot miss this show. This is going to be, we're going to talk about many things. We're going to talk about women in leadership and investment. We're going to talk about women's journey from pain to power, and also awakening women to their true power and potential. And today we're going to talk about something very delicate in our community that is happening daily. Every second of the day, women are being mentally and physically abused. And now these two women, wonderful women from Africa, are going to expand more with us today. And we're going to start off with Her Highness Grace. She's been on this show before. She is becoming a regular on our show. And today, as I mentioned, of the topic is going to be about physical and mental abuse. I would like to start off by asking Her Highness about how does emotional abuse affect women? How does that emotional feeling, how does, abusing women day in and day out, how does that affect women?
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Melida. It's always a pleasure to be part of this show. Yes. Because when we come together as women, we come to talk about who we are, we come to talk about ourselves, and we are the mothers, we are a big part of the nation, so it's important that we reflect on ourselves. Abuse in the first place, is something that ideally shouldn't even be discussed, because when God created the world, he said we are beautifully and wonderfully made. And even the men were advised, according to scripture, and there is no stronger word than scripture, is to love. So where there is love, ideally there would be no abuse, but unfortunately it happens to be around, and it is something we have to address. According to the World Health Organization, about a third of women experience one form or the other of abuse. That is 1 in 3 women. Yeah. That is 30%. That's a staggering number. And unless we address it, then that is a nation going downhill. So according to what Dr. Melida has asked, how does emotional abuse affect women? Now, emotional abuse affects women, first of all, on a long-term and on a short-term basis, because these are things that start in a subtle way. And before you know it, one thing leads to another. And before you know it, sometimes emotional abuse later on leads also to physical abuse, or sometimes they are intertwined. But let's first look at the emotional abuse, because many times when a woman talks of emotional abuse, most times the community or the society will ask her, oh, did he hit you? In other words, she has already been judged. If it has not become physical, then it's not an issue. And yet, both forms are equally destructive. So going back to the question, Dr. Melida, how does this affect women?
Yes.
Now, women are affected at different levels. And the truth be told is that even the women who say or claim to be strong or iron-made, the elasticity eventually wears out. Mm-hmm. So in the long run, it doesn't matter at what level or at what stage, as long as this continues, it will affect every woman in one form or the other, because we were not created to be abused. Mm-hmm. So short term, most times you find a woman, first of all, will lose her self-esteem. When you're put down several times, you begin to lose yourself.
Yes.
You begin to lose your confidence.
Yes.
You begin to doubt who you are. You begin to doubt, maybe they are right, because it has been said so many times. So your confidence begins to go down. And when your confidence goes down, you find that your self-esteem is so low to a point that your self-worth, all your ambitions, the things you loved, you begin to drop them, because you don't have that fire in you anymore. You don't have the self-love. And then before you know it, the shame will creep in, and the guilt.
Yes.
And guilt, I would say, is not guilt is bad, but I think shame is even worse, because with guilt, you end up apologizing even for what is not your fault. Mm-hmm. Because culture or community will make it look, they will always check and see what is it you did not do right to be in this position. You're already judged where you are. But why shame is worse, doctor, is because with shame, it's deeper than guilt. It's at another dimension, because with guilt, you're thinking of apologizing, but with shame, it affects you internally, because they say the mind speaks to the heart. Yeah. Now it has gotten to the heart. Now you're in a place of shame, and that is when your self-worth goes down. That is when your self-worth goes down. Yes. And then you begin to feel threatened. Mm-hmm. You begin to feel threatened, my sisters. Mm-hmm. And then because you're controlled, remember now sometimes control is part of this abuse, because you're controlled and you're feeling you're in a threatened position. And somebody might ask, how does that come about? Because remember, the woman most times has to take the blame. Let me give a practical example.
Yes.
I've got my auntie, and culturally, unfortunately, it's of preference. Boys giving birth to, unfortunately, I would say unfortunately again, giving birth to boys culturally in most communities is of preference to giving birth to girls, which is so unfortunate. Because as far as we know, a child is a child, and a boy is as good, a girl is as good as a boy. So by the time she got to child number 6, and that was a girl, she had 6 girls in a row, the names that were being given to the girl were changing. They are names such as whatever the womb decides. I'll not say in the local language, but translated. And this was already affecting not just the mother, but the children as well. So now this woman is in a threatened position because she's a blame game, and already the in-laws are thinking of finding their son another woman who give birth to the boys. This is just an example. There's so many numerous scenarios. You get it, doctor?
Yes.
So now we are in a situation whereby culturally, this woman is now, even her character has begun to change. She's now a lady who used to be jolly and nice. One effect coming in, she's now a woman who is constantly angry. Mm-hmm. She's taking it out on the wrong people. That's why they say many times, don't be quick to judge, because you don't know the place they're coming from. You get it? Yeah. So now it is a very difficult situation, because it becomes worse if we go into a position of long term. Now we are looking at the situation now. If help has not been sought, now this lady is escalating into a long-term situation. And what happens in long term, that's when now you get complications such as depression, anxiety, isolation, and that is when we need to reach out. That's when we need to reach out and say, you know what, my sister, you're not alone. My daughter, there's hope.
There's hope.
Yes.
Yes. And this is why we're having this program March 27, which is this Saturday, because we're going to have women around the world talking about this, what Her Highness just got through talking about, in order to help our women, to empower our women. And it is important, especially mental abuse. Sometimes women think that, believe that mental abuse is not the same as physical abuse. It's all abuse. And these are the things that we are going to be talking about Saturday. And you put it very, very well, Her Highness, because there's a lot of women that have lost their self-esteem, their ambition, all the goals that they had in their lives. It hurts a woman to be in this situation. Let me go now to Sheppa. How do a woman recover? Or I should say, what makes a woman empowered? How can she empower herself even after that situation, mental abuse and physical abuse? Tell us.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for having us. It is such a wonderful time indeed. And we are looking forward to Saturday as well. And this is quite a very, very deep and quite sensitive topic. So let us try and justify our being here. The recovery is the important one. First of all, is identifying that we need help, is identifying that I have been injured. So therefore, it is only when you identify, they say you cannot deal with anything unless you pinpoint and you name it, so that you can be able to say, I know that I am hurting. Yes. I know that I have been hurt. I know and I acknowledge that I need help. So then you are able, that is the first step, which is the important step. And therefore you go to the right one, because sometimes in our injuries, in nursing all this, we may attract the wrong spirit as well. Remember, the spirit attracts the other. Yes. We may attract even those that are going to put us down even more. So it is quite important that once you have acknowledged, then you seek the right channel of that recovery. The recovery then also, it will be to really acknowledging without blaming anyone. However, though, we need to also start at our homes through our children. And then in that upbringing, to raise children that are self-assured. By this, we mean not to always put down a child, not to always name them according to whatever the weakness at that time, or whatever the mistake, to say, look at you with big-headedness. Didn't I tell you this? Look at you, idiot, Yes. But by always speaking, the word of God says we are of royal priesthood. We are of peculiar nature. That I love. That's why I pack myself so nice. So therefore, you, even on your children, you speak the word, you speak life. And then that child will speak life unto other children. That child will be the one, when there is an abuse, who will say, no, we do not treat others like that. Or no, you will not treat me like that. And I know that when people are assertive, we get misconstrued for being aggressive. It is just to say, this is where we draw the line. So therefore, we teach our children where to draw the line. We teach them right from that early age to say, when we say you are the head, you are not the tail, we mean it. We are not meaning that to be arrogant, but we are saying, know that you are also a full human being. And then therefore, going further is that once the child is assertive, once the child has been assured, first and foremost is to assure the child that they are safe, that their home is a safe haven. It's a safe net where even when there has been a hurt outside, not to bottle it up, that this is the place where they can come and say, I am uncomfortable. This is how today I was dealt with. It can be a mother or a father who will then be asserting, instead of saying, go back and fight. Go back and fight for yourself. Go back. You can't just come running to us. You need to know that that wound is actually piling up. And we have found that, unfortunately, sometimes in our cultures, we get left with the wounds that are piling up because of such words, because of the words that are not validating. When a person says I'm hurting, all what we need, like Mama has said, rightfully so, do not go and ask question and judge. Validate a human being. Validate from the point. That is why I'm even not want to say a woman, a human being, an individual has been hurt, has been ill-treated.
Yes.
So therefore, I will take a stand and help this person on the basis that there is God in that person.
Yes.
There is a gift that is being put in that person. There is what the world has to receive in that person. So therefore, if that person also comes, it's because God has entrusted me with the ears to hear when a person is saying, I'm hurting. So therefore, mine is to validate. And then that pet, as you're saying, we take a person and you show them that warmth to say, you are now safer, so that we can walk together. So that is that, strengthening both children, strengthen a boy child, strengthen a girl child. You know, and then also we say encourage self-discovery. The path to recovery is when a person knows to celebrate themselves. Most of the time, when we grow up, we are never taught to celebrate ourselves. You are always taught, don't be too forward, wait for other children, or don't take the glory, give it to other children. That grows. And we find people that when you are supposed to be applauded, and when you want to hold your number one plaque and say, yes, it is me, they will put you down. It's because they were never taught to celebrate. So self-discovery is celebrating self. First to say, I'm breathing. First to say, even if my stature is the shortest one, but you know what? I am still a human being. I'm here to occupy my space. It is also to celebrate that even as a woman, I have gifts, I have a voice. So I show this voice. Self-discovery is finding my gifts, finding where my strengths are, because in the injuries, the strengths have been quenched. So now my guilt, as Mama has said, that also the put in the low self-esteem is because of what? All my strengths, all where I know myself to have been, the reason I exist on this earth, it has been quenched and broken. Mine is to put all things together. This path is to now put it all together with the right people, because yes, it's a journey with the right people, and always that are going to know the sensitivity around this. So because most of the time, even as women, we have that very first thing of asking mental questions or not even knowing. Yes, we have not been trained, but the first and foremost is what comes naturally. Loving a person, validating. Don't say much.
Yes.
And this person help them. Help them to find their strengths. The strength is what makes them unique. Is what makes them to know that you are the apple of God's eye. When you call that person, their shoulders, broadens and it goes back, because then they are finding themselves. Then they also, are going to say, I'm here to occupy the space. Their voice is going to come. Did you know that a person who is abused, even you can see that the channel here, even the voice squeaks, even the voice lessens, because this is where our power is. This is where our power is. And that person who's been put down, even their voice changes, it squeaks and it gets stifled, because this is where the power is. This is how you express yourself. This is how you communicate to who you are. You know what I'm saying? And then assertive decision making. Let a person encourage assertive decision making. Don't come and make decisions. Don't now be the nurturer all the way. Always realize the stages. Make sure that this person, for self-discovery, when you empower them, let them learn about the stages of our being. Remember, we are children. And then also we go to the next stage of the teen, we go to the next stage of young adult and of being adult. Now you find even sometimes a person who's been hurt and with the injuries or the wounds that have never been healed, that now this person is at the top rank, top position, but actually the child in them is the one who is still alive more. Because their reasoning is still wanting everybody to be a parent to a child. So it is important when we help this person, when we heal them, when we empower them to who they are, not creating ourselves through the other person. So then you are helping them. So you let them know so that that child can be healed, because this healing may take you back to those
That's right.
wounds where they started, to the root causes. So then in empowering, we go and deal with these wounds and come up. That is why you'll hear some other people, they're able to tell their story and not even cry and smile, because they have found themselves and they have found, remember also the word of God says, God will turn that which the devil meant for evil into good. And in the book of Romans as well, it says that God is going to make all things to work together. Even that pain, it can be turned into a gain. So that's how you empower a person, to turn those, so that then you are now coming back to being the herd and not the tail, to say, I'm going to turn it. I'm not going to be bitter. I'm not
Right.
going to be guilty. I'm not going to be ashamed. And you know how to shame the devil is when you tell your story of hurt, but you are empowering other people and you have turned it to be actually the strength. Some people, they gain through writing a book about their atrocities. And you find that that's where your wealth was, Joseph.
There
You
you
know,
go.
we all have the Josephs that we experience, Joseph, in our lives, where even your own, those that are close to you, they're going to hurt you.
Powerful.
Actually,
Yeah.
it's never a stranger that hurts you that deep. It is a person who's close to you. Never a stranger. Stranger does not even have anything to come against you
That is
for.
so
You
true.
know,
That is so true.
remember,
That is so
yes,
true. When
remember
it
to
comes
Joel.
to, yeah, when it comes to
Yes,
abuse, mental abuse, when it comes to
yes,
rape, it's
yes,
always family
yeah,
members, very close
yes,
friends to the family, and so forth.
yes,
Well said, Sheppy,
yes,
Princess Sheppy. Well
yes.
said. I want now to have Her Highness introduce herself as to who is Her Highness Iganda, Grace Iganda. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Melida. Uh, I'm Grace Aganda, as my sister has said, my sister Dr. Melida has said. Firstly, and very proudly, I'm part of the Global Women of Hearts, which is primarily part of the reason we are here together. That is a beautiful forum, a forum of love, a forum of hope that brings women all over the world together to celebrate each other, to empower each other, because it says that iron sharpeneth iron, and we believe that we need to be our sisters' keepers. And it's also said that, you know, behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who have
That's
her
right.
back. So I'm part of that family and very proud to be so. And later on, as Dr. Melida, as you've just seen the poster, that's part of the program that we are going to be having on the weekend, which we are so excited about. And besides that, I'm also part of an organization that's called Idol Network International. I'm the co-founder, and I'm also a director in this program. And one of the things we actually do in this organization, we've got a human rights arm, and some of the issues that we address is the issues that we are talking about today. So it's an absolute a privilege and honor to be part of this show, Dr. Melida. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us. And I would like for Princess Sheppy to also introduce herself. Go ahead.
My goodness, I have 5 pages of titles or introduction. So, but
just be brief.
Right.
Just the top 5 things.
Yes.
Just the top 5 things.
Yes.
that
Yes.
you're doing.
The brief one. Right. These are the roles that when God says, I have pre-appointed you and ordained you. So I am the executive chairperson of the organization called Future Lift. It's a non-profit making organization that I founded. I am also the managing director of Naledia Tsepi Business Consultancy, which is also the organization, the commercial side of me that I have founded as a businesswoman. I am also the Goodwill Ambassador under United Nations, appointed by 5 Point Youth Foundation in USA. This is the organization that has been founded by a woman. And then also many other roles that I hold in the humanitarian space, both nationally here at home in the continent and also globally. Most important, 2 of the most important titles that I'm speaking to today. I'm the vice president of the Idol Network in SADC, Southern Africa.
Yes.
And then the most important one is that I am the loved child of God who has also happens to be a servant through being a pastor, trained and ordained. Because of that God has realized his gifts and assignments in me. And therefore he commissioned me to say, go ye and create more disciples. That is the most important assignment. My gifts, they lie in leadership and also in education. As you can see, I speak nonstop because I'm to educate. I'm to just forever bring in.
That's
and
my
being a
sister.
teacher,
That's my sister.
Yes, yes.
You know what it
Being
is?
a teacher
I'm going to tell
as
you
well.
what it is.
You bring
We
in.
have so much inside that God has given us that is very difficult for us to be brief. I'm going to tell you the honest truth. We have so much inside of us that we have to just share it. And I love it because it's important for us to share the things that God has blessed us with. And the reason I propose for this program is because I want women to know this. We are here to support you. And this is why the global Women of Hearts is important. And I'll tell you why and how this started. It started that I myself, as a leader, we go through so much. And one day I was driving my car and I just started crying, never understood why. And then 2 days later, I find myself crying. And I don't know why I was crying because nothing was really bothering me. But I thought that. And then I called my sister, Deborah. I called my sister, Georgina, and all of the initial 7, it was 7 of them I called, and Birdie and the others. And I said, you know what? I need you to pray for me because I was trying to find out why I was crying. And Deborah said, you're crying because you don't realize the things that you're doing in the world. And the negative force is going to come at you. And you need a team of women or people to be with you, that when you're going through all of these things, that we can protect you, we can pray for you and guide you. And I said, you know what? That's a good idea. So I formed this group of women. And anytime I'm going through anything that I cannot myself resolve, of course, I go to God. But sometimes you need that human being next to you to hold you and to guide you and to tell you, Mel, you can do it. Mel, we're here for you. That's that comfort that I needed. And I realized what I needed. So I formed the Global Women of Hearts. We came together. We decided on what name to come with. This is a team that put this together. And then I called Her Highness Grace Aganda, and I said, you need to be part of this team, because when you speak, everybody listens. And the things that you're saying, it is so important to us women. So she's also part of it. And I know for sure my princess is going to be part of it too. But the thing is this. We as women need that support. We need comfort. We need that when we're going through this, we will have someone to go to. And that's why now we have decided to have a conference on Saturday, March 27th. This is going to be our first Global Women's Alliance for Leadership and Empowerment. See, we have to empower our sisters. We have to lead them. If I am a leader and you want to be a leader, my duty is to guide you. My duty is to mentor you. And this is what this is about. This is about women in leadership and empowerment. We are hosting this under the 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce, which I am the founder and chairman of that. Even women that's in business, that you might going through some mental stress or whatever you might be going through. Because I'm going to tell you something that I've discovered. There are women out there that are going through physical abuse and mental abuse, and you will never know. I am one of them. I went through mental abuse. I was told all the things that I couldn't do. I was told about, and Her Highness said it, when you're going through mental abuse, you know what's happening? You're deteriorating. You're just deteriorating, and you're going low and low and lower. But I was able, and God was able to help me to come out of that situation. And now I am the woman that God truly created, the woman of substance, the woman of power. And I know with the spirit of resilience, I am free now in order to do the great works that God sent me here to do. And I want to remind some women out there that are going through things and don't understand why. Let me tell you why. You were born already with a purpose on this earth, but the negative force know that. So what they do is they come and they break you for you not to do what God intended for you to do. So I need you now to recognize that why is it that you always want to do something, but you're not able to accomplish it because the toxic noise are constantly coming to you saying, no, you can't do it. No, you cannot do it. I'm here as a witness because I've been through it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can do it. But when you have toxicity around you day in and day out, you are going to go down. So this is time now. This is the time now for women to rise in the world. Because what you're not realizing is that you have a gift, you have a talent, you have a purpose, you have a mission, and you have a vision. Use it because God gave it to you in order to use. But there are those that is going to come into that space, I call it God's space, and try to destroy what God has given you. This is the time now, and this is what we're going to talk about on this Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can go to our Facebook, and it's Global Women of Hearts, and you can register there. There's where the link is at, because we have to start working with our women from all over the world. Now, the second question I have for Her Highness, it's a very important question because it is very important now. How do women recover from mental or physical abuse? How can we go from one extreme, right, to this next extreme? Guess what? I've conquered it. She's going to speak about it. Go ahead, Her Highness.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Melida. And you know what? I love speaking from a place that you have just touched, a place of testimony, a place of recovery, a place of victory, a place of conquering, because you're a woman who has conquered it all. So I can speak with confidence and tell everyone that, as you have just said, to begin with, just believe that there's hope. It's not the end of the road. It's not the end of the road. There's hope. And before I move on to responding to that, I just very quickly wanted to thank you, Dr. Melida, for setting up the Global Women of Hearts, because, you know, it's important that women have a network. They say if you cry out alone, it's a single voice. But when we put our voices together, we are louder and we are heard better. So that is very, very important. And we are all doing all this also in honor of our foremothers, the women who came before us about over 100 years ago, I think about 108 now years, who came before us and who said this is not okay. And after they had done what they had done, people said, well, you got your right to vote now, what's your problem? We said, no, there is more. And the more we realize there's more, the more we need to work on it. And even if we do not really, why we need to keep the momentum going, and why I'm so happy with forums such as the Global Women, is because there's power in numbers. They say there's an African proverb that says that however big a tree you plant is, a tree, it can never make a forest. Yes. So we need that we need that strength that we get when we come together as that we come together as sisters and we sharpen each other. So thank you so much for being obedient to God's vision and starting this up, because I believe it's going to be a blessing to women all over the world. That's why we say it's global, women all over the world. So we've started off well, and thank you for having us as part of it, and we shall continue to grow in it. And so moving forward, Dr. Melida just asked, how do we recover? So number one, we need to know that he who God has set free is free indeed, as you have just heard from Dr. Melida's testimony. And because we are blessed, and because God has already blessed us and has chosen us to be a blessing. So we just need to step into that blessing. So because the word says that he who is blessed indeed. And there's nothing that can be done about it. There will be trials and tribulations, but we are going to step out and step up, and we are going to overcome. So in my opinion, the first thing that all women need to realize always is that just remember that it is not your fault. Many times we blame ourselves because that's how we have been conditioned to, and that's what the culture and the society have made us feel. Always something has happened. It's always the question is, what did you do wrong? But you know this, you shouldn't have done that. So before you know it, there's not a clear, safe place you can confide or somebody you can speak to. But that's why we are grateful for networks such as the Global Women that give that kind of environment of safety and motherhood and sisterhood. So remember, one, there is hope. As we've said, two, it's not your fault. And then when you realize it's not your fault and you're not blaming yourself anymore, then the next thing you need to realize is you need to find yourself. Remember, you're coming out of a situation of mental abuse, physical abuse, whatever form of abuse, but you're committed to realizing, number one, you've identified there's a problem. You know, doctor, let me just step a minute back and say the problem is some women don't even realize that they're being abused.
Exactly.
Yes. Because
I didn't honestly.
Yeah, because you know, doctor, because sometimes it's very subtle, and sometimes it's gaslighting. So you get confused, and you say, oh, maybe it's my fault, maybe it's not real. And with gaslighting, because one minute it looks negative, the next minute you've received a bunch of roses, so you're in a situation of confusion, but what you don't realize is that you actually are slowly deteriorating.
Yeah.
That's not who God created you to be. So you need to find yourself. Once you have found yourself, and when I say find yourself, I'm talking about socially, I'm talking about economically, I'm talking about spiritually. All these areas need to be healed because there has been a lot that has a lot of destruction that has gone on within. So one thing you need to do that, again, I'll go back to networks such as, I would call it a family really, such as the Women of Hearts, is always speak to a friend. Find that trusted friend. I'm not saying you should broadcast it all over, you know, the social media, because there are some people who genuinely don't really care. So, and who will not be of help, and who will not even give constructive support. So find that trusted friend. It could be a mother, it could be a relative, it could be a friend or a member of a network such as the Global, who you can confide in, a friend who you can trust. I know you may find it hard to trust after what you've been through, but there sure will be that person with whom you can cry, with whom you can be vulnerable, with whom you can feel safe, with whom you can laugh. That is the person you need to speak to, who you know will give constructive advice, because the last thing you want, again, is destructive advice that can escalate the situation and not lead you into any point of recovery. Once you have done, besides, of course, talking to a friend, you also realize that many times when women have gone through abuse, there are situations whereby a woman will lose self-care because emotionally, you find, for example, if you've gone through depression and anxiety, you find we've had stories, a woman is in bed for a week. She's not opened her curtains. You know, she doesn't even need the light in. She can't even be bothered to look after herself. Right. So you need to learn to love yourself. I know you now feel you have no self-worth or no excitement about life, but you need to pick up yourself and find things that can physically, emotionally boost you up. If you've not been eating, get something and eat. Maybe at the heat of the moment when the abuse happened, which is understandable, you decided I'll sit in bed all day and have my tub of ice cream, you know, for breakfast. That's okay for the heat of the moment, but you are not staying there. you need to spring up and get up, because you need to be on your road to recovery, you know, and no one is rushing you, because we know this takes time. So don't beat yourself down if maybe a month later you feel you have not made progress. No, take your time. We are all different and we all recover at different rates. Some people need longer than others because we have different emotional, strengths. So that is very important. Make sure you're eating well. So don't again go into a situation whereby, I know sometimes people get into comfort eating, all the, or too much oil, too much sugar. There will come a time when you start looking after yourself and eating well, because you need to be healthy and well if you're to care for even the children and the, those who are dependent on you, as women, even when we are going through battles, there are those who are still looking up to us. So the last thing you want is things to go wrong for your children in your process of recovery. So we are looking at that. If you love exercise, go back and do your exercise. It will refresh you. What was that hobby you liked that you have stopped all of a sudden? These are things that make you, that build you. Music, listen to music is food to the soul. Shakespeare says it's food to the soul, and we can all testify to it. If it's worship, listen to that. Whatever music, cheer yourself up. Books. Some people when they who love reading, when they go into a book, they're in another world. If you want to get lost in a book, do so. So what are we saying here? We are saying self-care is essential here. Sleep. Make sure you're getting good sleep, because that's the other problem. Sleep is a point of recovery. So I'm on the point of self-care. Look after, learn or relearn to love yourself and care for yourself, Then there are situations, doctor, whereby, some situations of anxiety and all, where someone might genuinely need, maybe someone has undergone post-traumatic situation disorder. Maybe if there have been some abrupt abuse, especially physical abuse situations, that they keep feeling threatened and all. So those situations, do not feel ashamed to ask for help. There's some good counselors out there. It's true, so don't just go to any counselor that you have seen on Facebook or online. Some people are there to make money just as a business, but there are some true, genuine ones who care, who really care enough, and who guide you, because...
And not only that, Her Highness, not only that though, but a lot of times when we think counseling, sometimes those of us that have gone through what we have gone through, and we have conquered and we are victorious, we are good counselors, because we can tell them what to do, what not to do, and how to overcome what I've gone through. I can give them the step. Am I correct, Sheppa?
You are.
And Sheppa, you want to chime in? Yeah, isn't that correct?
Yes, and yes, because we go through such an experience, so that you speak from the heart, not from the book knowledge. Because when you speak from the heart, you will know how, and that. Yes, and you are believer, and that person will believe you because it comes from a place that they know it connects with them. So you become that good counselor, excellent counselor, because then it is the spirit in you that knows how it gotten where it is. You are able to hold others' hands. So very, very well said, Mama Aganda, your Highness Aganda. So very, very well put, very well said. And
because the funny thing is, everything she said, I went through in order to, heal. Everything she, matter of fact, I'll be honest with both of you. Everything you said today, that's how I was able to conquer what I've conquered. So I'm a witness. I'm a testimony of your words. That those are the things that I had to do in order to be where I'm at now. Exactly the things that you said. You've not missed a point. And I think that's why it's important that women, we have to share, we have to teach, we have to come together and talk about these things. We're not talking about these things enough. And the funny thing is, what I experienced today with both of you is that you have not only speaking to the audience that are watching, but you're speaking to me as well, because what both of you have said, I am so thankful that I have a God that was able to guide me, that was able to tell me, you don't have to be there. you have me, and that's what I did, because what happens is that a lot of women are depending on men in order to be validated. I got to this point and this level in my life now. I don't need no man on earth to validate me. Why? Because God already did that for me.
Amen.
He did that
Yes.
for me. He made me, he said, I am the one that created you. Why are you depending
Mm,
on man?
mm,
Why are you
mm,
sitting there being abused when I am? And you know what? When I stepped out, and the next show, I am going to talk about this, but when I stepped out, and when God came in my dream and said, you need me. And then when I went to court, and the judge says, he was a female judge. She said, well, your husband is not here to defend himself. Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want this? And I said, no, just give me what I'm due. That's it. That's all I want. And after that, I am so blessed today that the power within me, this is why I can't, there's no way I can walk away from God. No way. Because he placed Dr. Barra where she's at today only by me being obedient to God. That's it. You just have to be obedient and trust, but you also have to trust within. We have to trust ourselves. And women that's out there that are listening to this program, you need to come to our program March 27 at 1:30 p.m. We have the information on Facebook, Women, Global Women of Hearts on Facebook. Chime in, because we are going to talk about all these things. You see what Princess Sheppy just talked about? You see what Her Highness Grace talked about? This is going to be a hot topic, because there are going to be many other
yes.
women on there in order to guide you. And guess what? It doesn't finish there. And Her Highness know
Yeah.
about me. When I start, and we just met, but she knows that when we have this program, March 27, guess what we're going to do? We're going to have an aftermath. And the women that's there, they're going to be able to come again within a week, and we're going to talk. And guess what? We're going to do this every month, because our problems does not go away in a day or in a conference. We're going to have this every month. We're going to come together. We're going to talk. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to get the perspective of an African woman, and a princess, a queen, a woman from India, a woman from Latin America, because I am, a woman from the Caribbean. She's going to be there. And then what we're going to do is share with each other, because the one thing I know, Her Highness and Princess, is this: we're all going through the same problems. So we need the women that have conquered them, come to the women that have not conquered that yet, and mentor them,
Mm,
guide them,
mm,
love them. Because sometimes women
mm.
just need love that they're not getting.
Yes.
They just need love.
Yes.
And where they're
Mm,
getting it from. Because if I didn't have my team, I would be in this alone. Ask Your Highness. I
mm,
call her and we would sit there. We think the conversation is going to last 5 minutes. Oh my God. We talk and we talk and we talk. And guess what? While she's talking, I'm healing. While
mm.
I'm talking, she's healing. Yes, sir. And,
Important.
and
Yeah.
that's what we need to do as women. We don't need to compete with each other. This is not a competition,
Yes.
women. We
Yes.
compete too much. We
Yes.
don't need to compete. What we need to do is to
Mm,
celebrate each other.
mm.
And by
Yes.
celebrating each other, you're going to find yourself going a long way. Because all I want to do
Yes.
is exhaust everything that God has given me to give to you. I don't want to compete with you. This is a system that man has
Mm,
created in order
mm,
for us to compete with each other. That is not what God wants. God wants us to
mm,
work with each other. I don't need to compete with you, because I know who I am.
mhm.
Don't need to. I know
That's
who
it.
I am, right? So
Yes.
I want you guys to go into conclusion, and I will start with Princess Sheppa first, and go ahead as far as the conclusion. Go ahead.
Yeah. Right, right. I don't even know. It is a wow indeed. First of all, let me also thank you for creating the Women of Heart. Indeed, we need each other. And indeed, we are incubators. And indeed, we are birth giving. We are people that give birth to something. So let's create these organizations. Let us create more space. There is the words that we use. If you are not invited at the table, bring your camp chair and be at that table. So let us create more space for women to come in. Let us create more space in this boardroom. Let us create more space in the kitchen. Let us more space in the garden. What I would like also to say is, let us remember, as much as we bath our physical and the outside every day, even our spiritual being, our spiritual man needs to also be cleansed and bathed and every day and be checked in every day as to how far the gauge is. Always refill, because every day you are pouring out. So you need to refill, which is what you're talking about, Dr. Barrow. When you say, when you make that call, the other women will refill you and she also gets refilled. As women, I would
Exactly.
like us to, my parting words is, can I have a sip?
Oh, sure.
Speak a lot. So I would like us to fan each other's fire. I would like us to protect each other. I would like us to love each other. I would like us to embrace each other. I would like us to support the sisterhood or even brotherhood, because when we are now supporting each other, when the woman hurts, the whole family hurts, the whole community hurts. So let us heal each other. Let us make sure that we are all safe and well, and our communities are going to be safe and well. And everything that we have, and the gifts and these loud voices and the strength of mobilizing and bringing everybody is going to be so constructive, that we are
Yeah.
not going to be destructive. It's going to be embracing. Self-love is important. Let us build each other. Let us share each other's gifts. You know, what you have,
Yeah.
I may not have. What I have, you may not have. You have rightfully said so. I love, as I close, I love the words from one of our listeners and on the Facebook, and I love them. She's speaking probably about courage. To me, it's the courage of Ruth and Naomi. She says, walk away even if your knees are shaking. I'm now paraphrasing because I'm adding. I just saw those, the comments as they were passing. But walk away, walk away. You are a person of value. You are a woman of value. You are a man of value. Walk away, even if your knees are shaking, even if you don't know where you are going to step on the next step. But it is a journey of small steps. Walk away. Choose to be better. There is another comment that said, yes, abuse is brings the change that you didn't choose. But now when you are choosing to be better, to be well, to fight, you are now making that decision. You are making conscious decision. Choose to be better. Choose to step out of that bed. Mama Grace has already said so. Choose to step out of that bed. Choose to do that which fires you up. Stir up the gifts. This is what we are here to do. This is what we'll continue on Saturday, to be the catalyst, to be the teaspoon in those ingredients that you have. Woman, please do come. Let us all share. We are not just going to be speaking alone. Let us all share. We would like to hear from everybody. Dr. Melida, thank you so much for having
Thank
us.
you.
It's such a
Thank
pleasure,
you.
and I'm looking forward to Saturday. All the women that are listening across the globe, you are so loved, you are so revered. You are the apple of God's eye, however way that you define your God. But just know, the creator of heaven and earth took time to put the gifts in you. So the world is waiting for you to step up and activate. Thank you so much. And I
Thank you
love
very
you.
much. Thank you much. I love you too. Her Highness, you can also go into your conclusion, and thank you.
Oh, and thank you, my sister Seppi, so much for those, Princess Seppi, for those very moving words. You've spoken so powerfully and passionately, and I personally feel encouraged and moved. I believe other women feel the same. It's not okay if my sister is suffering. When one of us, the spirit we need to move on with is, if one of us is in trouble, then we are all in trouble, because there's always a ripple
Yes.
effect. And the other
Yes.
thing we need to remember is, to all the men out there, just to remember that as we do this, we do it in love. It's all because we care, and we just want a world that works for both men and women. A beautiful world where our children will all grow up beautifully. And to the mothers out there, let us, as we teach, and the fathers, as we teach our children, our boys, our girls, we seem to be harder on our girls. As we teach our girls, we need to teach our boys as well. Let's teach both the children, because the boys are going to be the men of tomorrow. And based on how we teach them, we'll make them the kind of husbands that, we would have loved. The men out there who are abusive to women, what I can say is that, can you imagine, put that woman in your mom's position, somebody you love. How would you feel if that was your mom? Or how would you feel if that was your daughter? The same way you'd feel is the way you need to feel, connect with, have the same feelings towards the woman God has given you to be your wife, a spirit of love. And for the women out there who are hurting, number one, do not get into isolation. The devil's weapons is to isolate you, then crush you and destroy you. Keep your communication lines open. Keep in touch. That one is very important. Keep communication flowing. Keep your social life alive. That is a key to coming out of a situation of bondage. And even if you decide to stay in that situation, there comes time, as Princess Sepia said, there will come a time when you feel I must run, especially if your life is at threat, at risk. But even if you've decided, well, situations that are manipulative, that you're not sure of, like gaslighting, and you're not sure, is this, it's confusing. You don't know whether it's like, for example, the silent treatment, you don't know what's going on. Even if you've decided to stay, for one reason or the other, because you believe it can work, because in a few situations, in some situations, it does work out by God's grace. In others, it doesn't. But even if you have decided to stay around, always keep the support. It doesn't matter. Keep the support, because the support can rebuild any bricks or stumbling blocks that are falling over. And lastly, with the word of God, a word of encouragement, because there is no greater truth than the word of God. Remember God's promises to us. His plans are to bring you hope, a future. God's plans, he's got a good plan for you. And so embrace whatever you do, find truth in the word of God. If you're a Christian, a fellowship, deepen yourself in worship, the scriptures, find a fellowship. And I believe there is no better healing than when you're in the presence of God. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Melinda, for having me.
Thank you both. And I just have this to say to the beautiful women from all over the world. A strong woman is one who feels deeply and loves fiercely. Her tears flow as abundantly as her laughter. A strong woman is both soft and powerful. She's both practical and spiritual. Her strong woman loves, forgives, walks away, lets go, tries again, and preserves her love for herself. Again, as I said before, I don't need man to validate me. God already did that. He loves me. He loves us. So always remember, women, whatever you're going through, just remember that there is hope. You know why? I've been there. And I did not know, honestly, that I would be where I am today. But just being obedient to God, I've gotten this far. And I will remain and grow with God. We are powerful women. Most of us just don't know it. We are giving ourselves to those that's oppressing us and to those that don't want to see us to be who we are. I am connecting, and all of us are connecting. The Caribbean, Americas, and Africa. African women, this is a message from Dr. Melody Harris Powell. You are powerful beyond measures. God created you that way. Society have changed your mindset. But now it's time to revert back to who God wants you to be, because you have the power to change the world. This is Dr. Melody Harris Barrow. I am the founder and chairman of the Sixth Region Global Chamber of Commerce, connecting Africa and the world. Thank you very much to my lovely sisters and hope to see you. Well, I know I'm going to see you, but if God spare you on Saturday. These women are powerful women, and I appreciate you both, and I love you both. Thank you very much for being here with me at the Love, Truth, and Peace program, and also the Sixth Region Global Chamber of Commerce. Hello, AIDO Network International. Blessings.